Now, I hate the word diet. Absolutely hate it. I think it implies it's got a start point and an end point, and then kind of what happens after that, who knows? You could go back into old habits, or it could just fail altogether, or whatever. A lot of diets fail, and we'll kind of cover that a little later as well. So, I'm especially not a fan of any diet that's got a name, be it the whatever they got out there now, so the cabbage diet, or the don't eat this diet, or the do eat this, or whatever. 9 times out of 10, these kind of short-term solutions, they're not the answer to the problem. And more often than not, they almost create more problems because people end up kind of creating these bad associations with certain foods, or even worse, kind of whole food groups. So, by saying don't eat this or do eat this, people end up going, oh, I don't want to eat carbs, or the carbs are the enemy, or fat is the enemy, or protein's the enemy, or whatever else. Protein will become the enemy at some point, I've no doubt about that. So what is the biggest reason that most people fail in their diets, or they can't stick to what they're trying to follow? It's adherence, and the fact they can't stick to it long term. It's not sustainable. It's not enjoyable. And if it's not sustainable, it's not enjoyable. Your motivation to keep carrying out that diet or that approach is just going to fall by the wayside. And ultimately means you're going to fail. And if you've been in that situation before, you might end up becoming kind of a yo-yo dieter where you jump from one approach to the other, because you're trying to find a solution. When in reality, the better option would be to just create choices and decisions that are sensible and sustainable and enjoyable, because that means it's going to benefit you in the long term. So, I don't label things under the term of diet. You can call it a nutrition plan or whatever else, but I guess, people always say lifestyle choices and whatever else. I can see where they're coming from with that. But it's about making sensible decisions and choices over the long term that are going to help you move closer to where you want to be. So how can we improve your adherence to any diet or nutrition plan that you guys create? Now, I'm going to bring in the whiteboard. I drew up 8 points earlier on, which I would consider to be good characteristics of a sustainable nutrition plan. We're going to go over these right now. So, number 1 is it respects personal taste and preference. If you enjoy eating certain foods, it's right that those foods should be part of the plan. It makes sense, right? It's logical. If you don't enjoy eating foods and they're in the plan, you're not going to stick to it for very long, right? It makes sense. Number 2 is it supports your physical and performance goals. All I mean by that, guys, is that your nutrition should reflect where you're trying to take your training, be it losses in body fat and therefore looking to create some kind of overall caloric deficit, or perhaps gains in muscle tissue and therefore looking to create some kind of caloric surplus. Points 2 and points 3 are kind of interlinked. So point 3 is it covers your macro and micronutrient needs. Your needs are going to be based upon your training goal and your individual situation and what you require to fuel your body, not just in training terms, but in terms of daily life as well. But we need to make sure we've got those things covered. So your macros, your proteins, your carbs and your fats are things we generally need in abundance within the diet. And obviously micronutrients and the fact that it's called micro are things we need in less large amounts, but we still need to make sure that we have those things covered. The next one is a really important one, is it's got to be affordable. Food costs money. Good food costs perhaps even more money, arguably. But if you're trying to create a plan and you just can't stick to it because you don't have the budget to go out and shop, then that's a big issue. So whatever budget you have allocated to food, make sure that the choices you make fall within that budget. Number 5 is it respects medical intolerances and allergies. Now, there are people out there who are gluten intolerant, who are true celiacs. There are people out there who are lactose intolerant. They've probably been medically diagnosed with this. If you have a medical intolerance or an allergy to something, absolutely, a food or a food group, I doubt it's going to be a food group, probably should be looked to be avoided. And number 6, again, these points are tied in together. So number 6 is no unnecessary, scientifically unfounded food restrictions. So basically what I'm getting at there is, unless you are known celiac, or you're 100% gluten intolerant or wheat intolerant or lactose intolerant or whatever, there's probably no reason to avoid eating that food. If you prefer it, as in point one, absolutely. If you enjoy eating dairy and you can handle dairy, if you enjoy eating wheat and you can handle wheat, eat dairy. Number 7 is that it's convenient. 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to prepare meals if you're in a good place and a frame of mind to do so. Perhaps when you haven't, or you missed a meal, it's got to be convenient. You can just pop out to the shops and get your bases covered in terms of your macros and your micros and whatever else. And the last point on the list, guys, number 8, is that it's got to be socially acceptable. All I mean by that is that when you go out and you socialise, be it in the gym or you go to a restaurant or you go to a cinema or whatever you choose to do in your own time, is that your nutrition can fall within that activity. Obviously, if you're preparing meals a lot of the time, that helps. But if you go to a restaurant, you probably need to know that you can pick something off the menu and not be guilt-free about it, but you can make sensible choices based off of what you require. You don't have to feel guilty because you ate out. I can put this away now. So there we have it, guys. We've spoken about adherence, and with the points we had covered on the whiteboard, we looked at some things that can hopefully add some value to adherence or make sure that your adherence is as good as it can be. Some points you maybe have or have not got covered, so hopefully those have helped. But adherence, guys, it's massive. If you're trying to make decisions and choices which you can't stick to over the long term, it's pointless, right? You've got to be able to follow through on your actions. You've got to be able to commit to them and carry them out consistently. So there we have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the box below, and we'll do our best to get back to you. But until next time, guys, take it easy and we'll see you soon.